Guys, thank y'all for being here today. I know we're few in number, but hopefully you're going to learn a little bit about Hawaii and what Norwegian does with Hawaii. As in the past, I am recording this, and so we will put this up on YouTube so that it can be shared with other people. But in the meantime, I'm going to turn this over to Charlie. We're going to let him introduce Matt, and then Matt's going to speak for a little while and show y'all some pictures and tell you about their Hawaii product, and then we can open it up for questions, so that if any of you have any questions afterward, you're welcome to ask.
Our guest today is Matt Rubin. He is a business development manager for Norwegian Cruise Line. They're part of the Norwegian Cruise Line holding family. Matt is perhaps singularly well qualified to talk about stuff that he has in his bag of tricks, because Matt has worked on the ships, he has worked on the retail side of the business, and now he is in the sales side of the business. So if there's an aspect of the cruise industry that Matt doesn't know about, it's probably how you change the oil in one of the big engines on the ships or something like that. I don't know. But with no further ado, Matt Rubin, take it away and tell us about Norwegian and Hawaii.
Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate that. And I appreciate being here. And yes, I could probably change over one of the engines on the ship, so if you need that too. Let me share my screen with everybody so I can show you what we're going to be looking at today. And I am going to start off with something we all know, but Hawaii, of course, is our 50th state. Funny enough, when Charlie mentioned, yes, I worked on our ships for about 13 years. I would get that question occasionally when we get to Hawaii on cruise ships. What currency do they use here? Mostly from foreigners, obviously, but occasionally I would get that question, and U.S. dollars, obviously, and people would say, of course, they knew that. But our 50th state, and yes, I saw on Charlie and Sherry's website, it had Aloha, so I thought I'd go over a few Hawaiian words just to get started. I love talking about Hawaii, by the way. It's one of my favorite destinations, and I spent many, many years out there when I did work on cruise ships. But aloha means hello, it means goodbye, and it also means love. So you might hear somebody say with much aloha, so that means with much love. And then there's the word mahalo. So mahalo means thank you. You're gonna hear that word a lot when you see people, or maybe if you're interested in college sports these days, it seems like Hawaii is the news in college sports, as Tua Tagovailoa and his brother are big stars, and Tua going to the Miami Dolphins. So that's a big word. And then I know everybody said this one or had this one before, mahi mahi. Well, you might not know this, but in Hawaiian it actually means very strong. But we've all had a little mahi mahi. What a delicious fish that is. And then, speaking of fish, I had to go over this one. It's my favorite. It took me an entire month to learn how to say this one properly. It's the Hawaiian state fish, which is the humu humu nuku nuku apua'a. Yes, it took me an entire month to learn how to say that and practice. Humu humu nuku nuku apua'a. There you go. So say that one real fast 3 times. But anyway, let's talk about Hawaii. And yes, we do have a unique product in Hawaii. Norwegian Cruise Lines does, because we have the only United States flag cruise ship in Hawaii. We're the only ones that do Hawaii. It's our thing. And I've got a short video to start us off. It's about 45 seconds, and it'll tell you the whole story, and then we'll catch up right afterwards.
And you don't need to adjust your sound. There's no soundtrack on the video.
So just as the video said, we are the only ones, we have our unique ship. It's called the Pride of America. It's the only United States flag cruise ship in the world. So it's the only ship that can do a 7-day itinerary. And in that 7 days, we'll visit 4 islands. We'll start on Oahu. We will go to Kauai. We will go to Maui, and then we'll go to the Big Island, which is the furthest south island there, to visit Hilo and both Kona. And if conditions do exist, which we can never certainly guarantee that, but when they do happen and there is lava flow, instead of going the north route, as you see there from Hilo to Kona on the map, we will go the southern route and we will sail past Kilauea volcano. So that does happen on occasion, and I will tell you it is quite spectacular when it does. So going over a few of the different stops, Oahu is where you fly into to catch the ship. It sails every Saturday out of Honolulu, and there you can see the famous Waikiki Beach and Diamond Head Crater there in the distance. Also in Oahu, you have to visit the Arizona Memorial and Pearl Harbor. That is something truly spectacular for any American. What a stirring, emotional visit that always is when I've been there. The Polynesian Cultural Center, another highlight of Oahu, and then Punchbowl National Cemetery. Because of all these different sites on Oahu, I know a lot of times when you're taking a cruise, maybe in the Caribbean, you might fly in or go into Miami day of. I think it's important to come into Hawaii maybe a few days before, or if you can, stay a few days after. If that is just not possible, there are a lot of tours that we offer that on the final day, if your flight leaves late, that we will actually take you from the ship, take you on a tour, and then drop you off at the airport. So if it's just not possible for you to come in a few days before or after, you can certainly hit some of those highlights as you depart if you have a later flight as well. A little bit about Maui, which is known as the Valley Isle. You can see on the top right there, the beautiful Ka'anapale Beach. And then on the left and bottom there, that is the city of Lahaina, which is a real big tourist spot, lots of art galleries. I like to think of it as kind of like the Key West of Maui. And then this right here is Haleakala Crater. It's up around 10,000 feet above sea level. To me, it looks kind of like the surface of Mars. Lots of observatories up there. Probably one of the most popular tours on our 7-day Hawaii is a biking adventure where you drive up to the top of the crater while it's still dark, about 5 o'clock in the morning, see the sunrise, and then you bike down 26 miles downhill. Don't even have to pedal once. Not straight downhill, quite a lot of windy roads, but no pedaling involved as you bike down. And then this is Molokini Crater, which is in the little island chain there, just right off of Maui, closest to Maui. In the background you see there, you can see Maui. Popular snorkeling site right off of Maui it's a sunken crater. And then you've probably heard of this one, 620 curves and 59 bridges. It's the road to Hana. I must admit, I've never completed it. I don't get car sick. What a fun little curvy road this is. But after about 310, after about halfway through, I decided to turn around and come back. Never made it through the whole way, but people say it's spectacular and lots of sights to see along the way. And then on to the Big Island. Now we make 2 stops on the Big Island. We go into Hilo, and that's a great day to see Volcanoes National Park. If you've never been to Volcanoes National Park before, just experiencing up close the lava, and they have a Hawaiian word for the lava, which means that it runs very slowly. And there are areas that are roped off by the National Park Service where you can get up close to it. It's really amazing. It touches all the senses. You can smell it, of course, the sulfur. You can hear it crackle. You can feel the heat, and certainly you can see it as well. So again, it touches all the senses. Something really spectacular. Also on the Big Island, there are actually 3 volcanoes there. Kilauea is active. Then there's Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa. This is a picture here of Mauna Kea, which their observatory is up at the top of Mauna Kea. It's at about 15,000 feet above sea level. And yes, that is snow. I know it sounds strange to see snow in Hawaii, but yes, there are people that it's a journey of theirs to snow ski and surf in the same day. And you can do that. But a lot of Hawaiians actually go up to the top, fill their pickup trucks with snow, come down and sell snow cones. So just a little FYI for you there. And then on the other side of the Big Island, the other stop we make in Kona. Now Kona is where they have the famous Ironman triathlon. The water clarity there is absolutely spectacular. If you've ever watched the Ironman triathlon on TV, where they actually start, the start-finish line is, that's where we tender into, right where the start-finish line is. Known for its Kona coffee and black beaches and beautiful scenery, and as I mentioned, beautiful water quality. And also Akaka Falls, another big site there on the Big Island closest to Hilo. And then as we go to Kauai, also known as the Garden Isle, also known as the oldest of the Hawaiian Islands. And right here you can see Waimea Canyon, which is also known as the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. Great helicopter tours, by the way, there. I think one of the reasons the helicopter tours are so amazing in Hawaii is because there's a lot of areas that you cannot reach by boat, and you cannot reach them by road. So one of the few ways to see so many of these sites is only by helicopter or by airplane. And one of the wettest places on earth, on Kauai, and the bird there, I don't know about you, but it looks like a pterodactyl to me. It looks like something. Jurassic Park, well, it's filmed on that island, by the way. Maybe they let one go accidentally. We also have our own luau. So you cannot go to Hawaii without, buying your Hawaiian shirt, of course, like we all do, maybe a kukui nut necklace, and seeing a luau and having a Mai Tai and some of that wonderful kalua pork they serve at the luau. And again, we do provide that for you. We have a luau on our last stop, which is the island of Kauai. We do have a little bit of sea time. Now, it's a very intensive cruise, port-intensive cruise, because we're in port every single day. It's all about seeing the islands. The time that we do have at sea, it's the final afternoon of the cruise, and we sail by the famous Nepali coastline. So this is where they film movies, like I mentioned. Jurassic Park was filmed there. Raiders of the Lost Ark was filmed there. Elvis's Blue Hawaii, South Pacific, just to name a few. And this is what it looks like as the ship sails past the famous Nepali coastline. Again, on the last afternoon of the cruise, the ship leaves there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and just does a beautiful sailing in the afternoon. So a little bit about the ship. As I mentioned, it's called the Pride of America. It's a very American-themed cruise ship. As you can see there, the seal right in the atrium, the beautiful staircase which goes down into one of the dining rooms. The John Adams Coffee Bar, again, very American-themed. It's a very new and modern cruise ship with lots of different dining options. It's actually got 14 different dining options on board and 10 different bars and restaurants. It's empty, as you can see in the pictures. I think, a lot of our pictures are like this, is when the ship is brand new or when it's gone through a dry dock. I like to see pictures with people enjoying the ship a little bit more. But just to give you an idea what the ship looks like and all the different bars and restaurants and venues, one of the things that makes us special, and I know some of you have sailed with us. I know Gene has sailed with us several times, Gene, and you're familiar with our freestyle concept. But if you haven't sailed with us before, one of the things that makes us a little bit different is we don't tell you where to eat. We don't tell you what time to eat or who to eat with. You set your own schedule. So where you want, when you want, with who you want. Of course, there's shopping on board. If you do forget that Aloha shirt, if you forget to go out and get one, you can buy one on board. We have plenty of shopping. And we do have kids areas. We just lock them up. You'll never see them. Don't worry about it. Just kidding. But we do have kids areas, and certain times of the year, we do have kids on board. If it's the summertime or spring break time, we do have kids. If you're sailing with us when it's not those times, when the kids are back in school, and it's hard pressed to find a kid on board, but we do have services for the kids. And then accommodations. One thing we're known for is our wide range of accommodations, whether you're looking for a budget inside cabin, a balcony cabin. We even have a few of our famous studios on board. Our studios are single solo cabins. Our newer ships have about 150. This ship, when we refurbished it recently, we put 4 on them. So if you are sailing solo or know somebody that is sailing solo, they don't want to have to pay double price, which is standard in the industry, they can try one of our studio solo cabins. There's a picture of it right there. And then, of course, we do have anything that you would want to, up to our luxurious suites with separate bedrooms and living rooms and beautiful bathrooms even on board. So this is a picture of one of our beautiful suites, as you can see there. So another reason why we are so popular, what brings people to Norwegian, of course, as I mentioned, our freestyle cruising concept, as well as another thing is our promotion. So this is our current promotion. We call it our Free at Sea promotion. Why is it free at sea? Because we give so much away for free. So some of the things we give away for free are free open bar, free specialty dining, free shore excursions, free Wi-Fi, and kids sail free. Now, normally, if you book, for instance, an inside, you would get a choice of 1. If you book a ocean view 2, if you book a balcony 3, if you book a suite 4, that's the way it normally would go. But today, what we're doing is we're giving away everything. So no matter if you book a studio, inside, ocean view, balcony, no matter what you're booking, you're going to get all of our picks. You don't have to choose 1 or 2 or 3. We just give them all to you. Again, any category of cabin gets all of our amenities free, all the frees you see there on the right side of the screen. And we also have our special where if you book an ocean view, you actually get a balcony. So we're going to upgrade you for free. It's called our balcony bonus sale. So everything, again, for free, all of our offers is what we're offering right now, as well as $399 round trip airfare to Honolulu from Nashville. I know it's pretty unbelievable to have airfare that low. I certainly challenge you to go out there and look and see what airfares are, because they're nowhere even near that. And we have a special where we're offering that for those that want to go to Hawaii. Now, if you want to come in a few days early, leave a few days late, doesn't matter. You just pay $25 per person. That's all you have to pay, and we deviate your air. You don't have to pay any difference in airfare, just the $25 deviation fee to come in 2 days pre and or post. So you could do both, still for the flat $25 per person fee. And then finally today, what I wanted to go over quickly is our Norwegian Peace of Mind Sail Safe. So everybody's talking about this. We were the first ones to come out with a program. We are working closely with the CDC, and we whatever they come out with, we're going to certainly exceed that. We're going to meet it and exceed it by far. But this is what we have so far. It's a working document. There certainly will be additions to this in the future, but I'm going to run through our 6 different protocols that you're going to see on all of our ships as soon as we set back to sail. First one is enhanced screening. So enhanced screening means we will have touchless temperature checks and continuous monitoring. For those of you that have been on any cruise ship, you know when you come on and off the ship, there's certain protocols you have to go through in every single port of call. We scan your card to make sure you are you. We have your picture right there in the computer. We're also going to be doing, as I said, touchless temperature screening every single time people get on and off the ship constantly, so that we will make sure we know that everybody's state of health immediately. Again, checks will occur also in the dining rooms and in prior to activities in public areas. So that's our enhanced screening for guests. And as well, we're going to have enhanced screening for crew. So we do have an intense medical screening that we do provide for all crew prior to joining the ship. And we're going to be constantly monitoring our crew as well with the same type of procedures for temperature screenings as well as testing. All new air filtration systems. So this is medical grade air filters across the entire fleet on every single ship. Increased sanitation measures. So again, for those of you who sailed with us before, you know about our washy people. We've been doing this for 10 years. When people come back on the ship from port, when they go into every single dining venue, we're always spraying their hands, making sure hands are disinfected. We're going to continue to do that, but we're going to certainly cut that up a notch. And we're going to be doing a lot more of that, as well as electrostatic spray technology, fogging with disinfectants. We have a 24-hour prevention schedule. And then buffets and service stations will now be full service. So that means when you go to the buffet, there'll just be somebody there to assist you to get what you want. Responsible social distancing. So that's going to mean we're going to have a guest capacity on board that's going to be reduced. I can't tell you exactly what that's going to be at this point, but it will be a reduced guest capacity. Also reduced capacity in all public areas. So we will have monitoring throughout the ship to make sure that our guest capacity only gets up to a certain level in certain areas of the ship as well. So we'll have people there to, for lack of a better word, police that. Staggered embarkation and advanced online check-in. So what that means is that you're going to have a certain time to arrive at the pier to check in, so that the pier areas do not get too crowded. And then onboard activities will still be available, but at modified or reduced capacity. Enhanced medical resources. So hopefully you've never had to visit the doctor while you're on board a cruise ship. So you probably, and if you have, you probably know what the facilities are like. We in the past, we've had standard medical facilities there, mostly for emergencies We're going to up those. We're going to have increased medical staff. We have a new position that we've just created called the public health officer on board every single ship, as well as an increased medical team. So if our team of doctors was one amount, let's say 3, we're probably going to up that. We're going to double that amount. Fully equipped with the latest testing kits and medical supplies, dedicated isolation accommodations, and in health safety trainings and health trainings for everyone. And we're going to extend that to shore as well. So what does that mean? We're only going to be partnering with local partners that are going to be using the exact same protocols on board as well as ashore. So single thing that you see us do on board the ship, we're going to extend that to our partners ashore, and we're going to make sure that they are using the same protocols. And if you need any more information about that, if you have any questions, if you'll just check out ncl.com/peace of mind, and it'll give you all the details I just mentioned plus more. And mahalo to everyone for being here.
Matt, a quick question, quick observation to be sure there's no ambiguity. The enhanced screening and all those protocols and that sort of thing that you mentioned are fleet-wide. That's not just in Hawaii, right?
That is correct, sir. Everything I mentioned to you about our sail safe is going to be fleet-wide. But since today we were talking about Hawaii, it was just
right. Go ahead, Sherry.
Does anyone have any questions for Matt? Just unmute yourself if you do.
Yes, I have a question. What is the passenger capacity of your smallest ship going through around Hawaii?
So there's only that ship only, and it's around 2,160. I think is the exact, around that amount.
That's guests?
Correct. But now we will be having a reduced guest capacity. So I don't have that number for you today, but we will have that information moving forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've been hearing that the CDC is saying that it could be half to 2/3 capacity. So who knows yet what they're going to come out with. We were talking to Matt earlier today, and we're concerned right now that the airlines are not going to be under the strict guidelines that the cruise lines are going to be under, and American and United are going to be filling their middle seats now. So hopefully CDC is going to put some clamps on them, just like they are on the cruise industry, because we have to fly to get to Hawaii. We have to fly to get to Europe, and hopefully they're going to crack down on them a little bit too. Who else has a question?
Well, I want to give special kudos to NCL in general for proactively speaking to situations that are on everybody's mind. Matt, you and I talked about a survey that Sherry and I have been doing that we're going to wrap up next week that's looking at passenger opinions on return to the cruise industry, go to cruise vacation. And not unexpectedly paramount in that is attention to the very things that you talked about. The thing that I think is remarkable is that other cruise lines have been all but quiet on the topic. And when I talk to cruise line executives off the record, they're holding back on doing or saying anything until they find out what the position of the CDC is going to be. I think it would be difficult to argue that anything that you outlined that NCL has proactively introduced isn't going to be a sound practice and somehow not something that the CDC would recommend. So for those who have concerns, as Sherry and I do, about travel safety, NCL has stepped up. They're going well above and beyond what others have decided they need to do right now in terms of addressing these very, very salient points. And to the point, and back to Hawaii, Sherry and I did as she mentioned, we did the cruise that went down to Kiribati, but we thoroughly loved it. Have we done that twice? We didn't. We didn't do Paradise. Okay, but the time in port is so pleasant, and the itinerary that you have now, Matt, is it 96 hours of port time?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I did have one question. How many different dining venues are there on the ship now that after the overhaul?
So there's 14.
Okay.
7 of those are what you would say included in your cruise fare. The other 7 are specialty dining.
Right.
And then again, with the free at sea, of course, you get 2 free nights of specialty dining anyway.
Right. And I will share with you that the specialty dining that we have experienced on NCL is fantastic. Sherry doesn't like Indian food, but her daughter and our son-in-law do. And so the kids and I went to the Indian restaurant. It's not an Indian restaurant every night, but they offer Indian cuisine, and we went to it. And it was absolutely spectacular. The Italian, Sherry, what was the name of the Italian restaurant? Do you remember?
La Cucina.
Huh?
La Cucina.
Yes. Was spectacular, and the steakhouse was marvelous. So NCL is just an over the top value right now with all the things that are going on. And I want to say one other thing about the airfare. It's tough right now to fly from Nashville to South Florida round trip for $399.
Who else has a question for Matt?
I do. When will these new health guidelines go into effect?
So those are going to go into effect immediately when we start sailing again.
And when will that be?
Well, I wish I had my crystal ball for that one. We're not going to start sailing again until we know it's absolutely safe to do so. And just keep in mind, and just to piggyback on what Charlie said about these protocols, yes, we've come out with them. It is a working document. So whatever the CDC comes up with, we're going to meet and exceed that. We think we've probably already done that, but we are going to continue to add on to these if necessary until we make sure that everybody is safe and feels safe on board.
We've got a Norwegian cruise booked for the beginning of 2022. We moved it.
Y'all have always got a Norwegian cruise booked. We appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to you, you've got one booked.
We're well into platinum.
Oh, great.
I know, Betty, that right now the cruises have all been suspended. Norwegians, there's through the end of September. Is that correct, Matt?
That's correct, yes.
Some of the cruise lines are through September 15. The CDC said everybody's would be suspended through through September 15. We're expecting that. We personally are expecting that to go probably further, but we don't know how far. We don't know at this point what's going to happen. The cruise lines have been hit especially hard, and part of it is because, unfortunately, the Princess ship that was not allowed to disembark in Japan because they had a few cases on board. Had they been able to get the healthy passengers off and send them home, it would not have created the petri dish that it did, where it spread throughout the ship to not only passengers but to crew as well. And so that's what kind of kicked off all of the problems with the cruise lines and the CDC getting involved. I think it was just very unfortunate because it was out of Princess hands. It could have been any of the cruise lines that this happened to. It just happened to be them trying to dock, and it became a nightmare for everybody. But hopefully the CDC is working with Cruise Lines International Association, and they are trying right now to come out with the guidelines that's going to be available for all cruise lines. Norwegian has stepped up and taken this by the horn right now and gone ahead and put some procedures in place. And thankfully we've got that. I even posted, I think, on the email that went out today, the reminder email, I posted the video. Matt, you guys have a video now that has come out with protocols being explained, and it's really, really very good. So we're just glad to see it happening. I really think that because right now it's iffy on whether Europe is going to allow, the EU is going to allow U.S. citizens to go, and when they're going to be able to visit Europe again, we don't know. But we'll have the option of going to Hawaii, which is great for us, as for us to be able to do. Has anybody else got a question?
I have a quick anecdote. You were saying something earlier about the money, Matt, and we had some folks we used to travel with, and this guy is a college-educated man that used to teach and was a mortgage banker. I had to tell you all that as the build up to the call that we got. He said, no, he was serious. He called and said, now what kind of money are we going to have when we're over there? And I do indeed have a mean streak once in a while. And Sherry and I have a friend who, when we are put together, can take just a tiny little seed of an idea and grow an oak tree of a practical joke out of it. So we went down to Michael's craft store and bought 2 bags of seashells and came back, and it turned out that there were 5 distinct types and sizes of seashells, and not just a whole, not several dozen different ones. There were 5 different ones, and Sherry took a Sharpie and wrote 1, 5. Was it 1 and 2, or anyway, 1, 5, 10, and 20 or something? Maybe 1, 5, 10, 20, and 50 on the inside of the seashells. And by the strangest of coincidences, the sum of all those 2 bags of seashells was $997. So when I called my buddy up, I told him that I had gotten money for them, all of us, and there was maybe it was $987. Anyway, it was a $13 exchange fee, so he owed me $1,000.
Oh gosh!
This was the same. This was the same cruise that we had the handy talkies that were popular 15, 20 years ago, and we had one of the long oblong dining tables, and we were talking back and forth to one another on the walkie-talkies, and the crew got into it. We had a good time. It was just it's one of those cruises of the 120 or more that Sherry and I have taken that stands out in my mind as just being thoroughly enjoyable for the crew and for the ship and for the cuisine and the shore excursions and the time important everything. It was one of those cruises that you think back fondly every time you think of it.
Anybody else got a question?
Is there a peak season and an off season for this, for Hawaii?
For pricing?
No, for demand.
Matt, what's peak season and an off season?
Well, off season, the peak season for pricing is really the summer months because kids are out of school. I prefer the winter time, December, going forward for 2 reasons. Number one, there's not that much fluctuation in price, but there's a little bit of a downside in price. And the biggest reason number 2 is it's whale season. So whale season starts in Hawaii. The humpback whales come from Alaska, arrive in Hawaii about the middle of December, and stay till about the middle of March. And to me, that is the absolute best time to be in Hawaii. Whale sightings are just monumental there. I mean, people pull over off the side of the road and start clicking their cameras. And I was once at Kapalua watching Tiger Woods tee off, and he couldn't tee off because whales were jumping in the background and people were making noise. I mean, it's the best time, in my opinion, to go to Hawaii.
Anybody else? No? Well, Matt, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you guys for coming and talking with us and asking your questions. And we really appreciate everything that Norwegian is doing right now for the safety of our passengers and for us. And I'm ready to go back to Hawaii and do another Hawaii cruise.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you,
Aloha.
guys.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you all. Bye-bye.